The city of Abor glittered under the night sky. Tall towers reflected the moonlight, streets buzzed with traffic, and soft music played in the distant alleys. On the 8th floor of a luxurious apartment, Alexis moved silently in the kitchen, preparing warm tea. On the sofa, Issa scrolled his phone, not even noticing her presence. She walked over, placed the cup gently before him, and said softly, "The first sip will warm you up quickly." He smirked and picked up the cup, his eyes still fixed on his phone. Alexis, for the first time in years, smiled not with love, but with peace. The kind of peace that comes when a war is over. Their wedding had been the talk of the entire city. Issa, the charming real estate mogul. Alexis, the shy, graceful painter. On their wedding day, she wore white with golden accents. Her eyes sparkled with hope. But Issa? He didn't see a wife, he saw a prized possession. "This woman is mine, like a showpiece you never touch, just display." One night, Issa came home late. A faint lipstick stain colored his collar, a shade Alexis never wore. "Where were you?" she asked gently. He scoffed, brushing past her. "Don't be jealous. It was just business." Alexis didn't argue. But something inside her cracked. A crack that widened with every lie. One evening, while Issa was in the shower, his phone buzzed again and again. A message popped up on the screen. "I missed last night, already face-blowing kiss, Tasha." Alexis picked up the phone, took a screenshot, and placed it back silently. From that moment, she was no longer the quiet wife. She became the silent hunter. Tasha was only the beginning. There was Zuri, Belinda, even their married neighbor Rena. Alexis made a list. Every woman, every hotel, every transaction. She traced them all. One day, wearing a hijab and sunglasses, she visited Zuri in disguise to confirm the truth. Zuri laughed and said, "He told me his wife is just for name. He doesn't love her." Alexis simply smiled. "That's all I needed to hear. Thank you." Alexis didn't ask for a divorce. Not yet. She began selling her art privately, opened a secret bank account, hired a private investigator, and started studying natural poisons. Not deadly, but enough to break a man from the inside. While Issa flaunted his lies, Alexis sharpened her silence. One evening, she invited Issa's entire family, his mother, 2 sisters, and his favorite uncle, for a grand dinner. The apartment was lit with golden candles. African drums played softly in the background. The aroma of chicken stew and fufu filled the air. "Let me serve you personally," Alexis said, pouring Issa's tea last from a separate pot. He raised his cup proudly. "To my wife, the queen of this house." And with that, he took the first sip. Minutes later, Issa began to sweat. His vision blurred. Hands trembled. His head pounded. He stood, stumbled, and knocked his glass over. Guests gasped. His mother screamed. "What's happening to you?" Alexis stayed still. She leaned in close, whispered in his ear. "Now you know what betrayal tastes like." At the hospital, doctors said it was a rare allergic reaction caused by an herb in his tea. There was no trace left. But Issa knew. And as he lay in bed, weak and confused, he saw Alexis standing outside the glass window, calm, powerful, wearing a black dress like a queen at peace. A week later, she filed for divorce, with all the evidence. Affairs, recordings, bank thefts, statements. The city of Abor turned against Issa. He lost his business, his name, his pride. Months later, Alexis moved to a quiet villa on the edge of Abor. She opened an art therapy center for women betrayed and broken like her. When reporters asked, Did you really poison him? She'd smile and reply, I only served what he spent years pouring into me. Now, women speak her name in whispers, not with fear, but with awe. Alexis, the woman who didn't scream, didn't shout. She simply ended an empire with one quiet sip. Even in her peaceful villa, silence had a sound, the rustling of leaves, the gentle hum of the river nearby, and distant memories. One morning, a letter arrived. No stamp. No return address. Inside, a photo. A young girl, no older than 12, holding Issa's face in her tiny hands. On the back, she deserves to know who her father really was. Alexis sat still, not in shock, not in anger, but in quiet reflection. The past, it seemed, wasn't done with her yet. A week later, the girl appeared, standing at the entrance of Alexis's therapy center. Dark skin, hazel eyes, thick curls, a fire in her gaze that Alexis recognized. Are you Alexis? She asked boldly. Issa was my father. He left my mother when I was 5. I want to know why everyone hates him now. Alexis invited her in, offered tea, this time, the warm kind. And with slow, careful honesty, she told her the truth. Not the scandals, not the betrayal, but the disease of silence, of using love as a leash, and how it takes one woman to end a generation of that curse. The girl, Afia, listened with wide, wounded eyes. And at the end, she said, I think I want to paint too. Alexis created a new wing in her center. She called it The Wall of Women, a massive mural painted by survivors. Each stroke held stories, bruises hidden by makeup, cries behind locked doors, dreams buried under duty. Afia painted too, her section filled with storms, snakes, and finally, the rising sun. Reporters returned. The center got global attention. But Alexis stayed out of interviews. She preferred watching from the window as women, once broken, now danced barefoot in the courtyard. The empire Issa built on lies had crumbled. But from its dust, a kingdom of healing had risen. One late evening, Alexis stood in front of a canvas, blank and waiting. For months, she hadn't painted for herself. Now she did. She painted a woman with tear-streaked eyes, wrapped in gold, seated on a broken throne made of glass shards, bleeding, but smiling. She titled it, The Queen Who Didn't Break. And underneath, she wrote, She didn't burn the world. She simply refused to keep bleeding for it. That night, Alexis lit a single candle, took one last sip of warm tea, and smiled. The war was long over. And this time, the peace was real.